So let me tell you a story. It was March 2024, last year. I was still in high school and I had my first exam. So basically, we in Romania, at the end of the 12th class, we're gonna have an exam, a very big exam that's gonna decide if we graduated school or we did not, right? And before the big exam, we also had like one where we just simulate the actual exam to see our level and to see where to improve. And I went to that exam. I had to test for 3 subjects and the results were catastrophic. I used to have like big grades in high school and throughout the school, but in that particular moment I just got a 3.16. That was very bad. At that point I was literally failing the exam and that's it. So remember, it was March 2024 when this happened. So it was like a shock for me. I had to spend like the next few weeks, days learning, but I didn't know actually what I was doing. I had to change something because surely it could not continue the same way. Why? Because the outcome would not change eventually. But I think I've been pretty lucky because if that moment did not happen, I would have not discovered this book that I'm about to present you. So I'm gonna start a new series on this channel where I'm going to present you books or particular summary of books that I read and the key points that I want you to stick to it, and I want myself to remember always because these are good books and they always help you. Now, let me finish the story. So with the Book of Essentialism that I'm gonna make you a summary on and the key points. With this book, eventually in July 2024, I managed to graduate my exam. So I went from a 3.16 to an 8.16, like was 5 points in, I don't know, like 3 months, 2 months, something like that. So it was a big game changer for me, but just because of this book. And let me show you exactly how this helped me achieve such a big change in my life. So this book, the Book of Essentialism, is written by Greg McKeown and it was 10 years ago, but it's still a very valuable piece of advice that you can get from any book, I would say. Now, there was a thing I did not understand before this. We all do this thing, but I don't know if we understand this. So for example, the first thing that we get to know from this book is that for every yes that we say, we also say no to another bunch of things. So for example, when you say yes to going out to a cinema, you say no to continue working, you say no to having a good sleep, you say no to doing maybe your bedtime routine. For me, it was a pretty game changer because this changes the whole way you see life. Next time you're gonna make such a big decision, you're gonna say exactly, if I say yes to this, there's something that I won't be able to do. There's something that I will have to say no to. This also applies in the other direction. For example, when you say yes to work, to doing your tasks, to finishing whatever you need to do, or maybe starting a business, you also say no to continue your job. You also say no to going out and wasting time and money. You also say no to other bad habits. So it's very powerful to understand this question, and it's also very powerful to know exactly when to say yes, why to say yes, and when to say no. Now, this may be a pretty dumb question, but how do you know exactly when you need to say yes? So you need to discover the actions that have the most return on investment for you. You need to say exactly what action I'm gonna do that's gonna make my future me better. For example, working out, going to the gym, or joining a soccer club or sports club, or maybe learning for your school, learning for your business, maybe doing the actions, taking the sales call, doing the outreach, whatever is it, you need to analyze the ROI that it has on you and take that decision. Now also, the author says that if you don't know this, there's 3 ways you can figure out what to do. You first have to explore multiple stuff, so try as many things as possible and see what works for you. Then you need to decide what to eliminate from those things. So for example, let's say you went this week to karate, you went this week to jiu-jitsu, you did a bunch of stuff, you went to the chess club, whatever is it. Now that you have done all this stuff, you have the expense. Now you can decide which one to eliminate. And after you eliminate, you also have to stick to it. You have to be an essentialist. Whenever you have to make a decision like this, you have to have a metric that you're gonna use. So for example, the one that the author suggests in this book is that whenever you have like a question, if the answer is not over 90% yes, then it's a clearly no. So for example, if someone asks you, hang out with them, but you are like, no, I don't want to, but I should because maybe that's gonna make me like a more valuable person in my social circle, then it's probably a no, because it's not like a straight yes. Then you're just wasting your time, you're not essentialistic, and basically you're taking your time away from certain actions that will really improve your life. There's a quote in this book that the author says in something like this. So for example, he says that sometimes it's harder to say a no then it's harder to say a yes. I think this is true. I have a bunch of examples of that. But the thing is, you won't like make it from the first time. It's gonna be hard to say no. By saying no to certain things, as I told you earlier, you're gonna say yes to other things that are very important to you, that are going to make the change in your life and are going to have a great impact on your life if you decide to take them. Also, another very important thing is that whenever you take a decision, he mentions some things about editing your life. So for example, when you go into another direction, but you figure out that that direction is not good for you, you're going in a bad direction. For example, you started a new activity, let's say you started chess. But after a few weeks of doing chess, you find out that it doesn't have an ROI for you, it's not making you feel happy, and it doesn't have any sense for you to continue to it. You have two options. You can continue because you said to your friends that you're gonna do chess for this year, or you can get out of it, cut out that activity because it's not having a good impact on you, and then try and find other activity. So this is a very important thing because it's not easy to give up and let go when you started something because you put in effort and time. But along the way, if you cut out that activity, you're gonna save up other time that you're not gonna use it in the future. Another thing that the author mentioned is about setting boundaries and limits. For example, let's say you limit your social media time this week. You have like 4 hours of social media per day, and you limit it to, let's say, 1 hour. Now you have 3 hours where you can do some deep work, you can focus. And another thing that he mentions that stuck with me is, for example, you have an office at your house. In your room, let's say you're learning or you're either doing business. But if you let the door open, everybody's gonna come in, it's gonna disturb you, and basically you don't have any limit. Anyone knows that you're available and they can just come in, take your time. So you're not going to be able to focus and create something powerful at the end. But if you set limits, if you tell the people like, don't disturb me in this period, or close the door, or put a sign on the door, you're actually creating a boundary. You're actually creating a limit that's going to allow you to create. So some people don't like this because why put limits to yourself, to creativity or whatever, but it's that inside of the box, inside of the limit that we put ourselves, there we have space and time to grow. Because if we're always available to people, we're always going into places, or we're always going to say yes to social activities, to going out, to whatever is it, we're just never going to get a time to actually stick in our office undisturbed and doing the thing that we want to do, the things that have the best ROI for us. Now, one of the most important things that he mentions along the process is to celebrate small wins. So for example, whenever you do a certain stuff, you take a good decision, you say a yes when it's a clear yes, you say a no when it's a clear no, you have to celebrate it. Now, don't make a big fuss about it, but celebrate it for yourself and take a note, journal about it, because by compounding these small wins, you're just going to be able to create better and smarter decisions, and also you're going to have a life that you're proud of, a life that is created by your own decisions, a life that is essentialistic, as the author mentions. And when it comes to limits and boundaries, I want to add one thing that I think is very important. So for example, people don't have a bad approach towards routines and towards setting stuff every day to do, using an agenda, for example, because like people say that when you have like routines, your life is just monotone and stuff like that. But actually I think it's not true, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, the limits, the boundaries are those that actually allow us to achieve our things. So for example, you have a 30-minute morning routine. When you do the stuff, you meditate, you do journal, whatever is it. So by doing that, by having that block of time reserved for that routine, you have a time and space where you can just do that. Basically, you're not interrupted. You can just do the things that you told you're gonna do. You're gonna respect your calendar. Basically, by doing this, by setting a limit, you're making sure that nothing else is going to intervene. You're gonna have a smooth time and you're gonna be able to fulfill things that you wanted. Also with work, the same thing. If you set a big chunk of time and you know you're not gonna be interrupted in that time, you're just gonna have a flow state. You're gonna do the work. Maybe you're gonna do just like in 3 hours of a day, you're gonna do the work for 8 hours. Now the last thing that I want to mention is that something that the author mentions in the last chapter of the book is whenever you do the work, whenever you like, I don't know, live the life or whatever is it, you don't have to focus on past actions that make you have anxiety or make you feel bad about you. Because take it like this, if you're not fully present on the moment, if your mind is thinking about the past mistake that you did, it can be anything else. If your mind is not present on the moment, you're not gonna be able to fulfill what you want. So whatever is it, leave it in the past. Past actions clearly don't define you. What's gonna define you in your own eyes, in your own mind, is the actions that you do right now. For example, if you decide to go out, you're just gonna see yourself as a person that goes out, has a good time, right? But if you decide to work out, to go to the gym, or build your business, you're gonna have more respect in your eyes. You're gonna see yourself as a person that's disciplined, as a person that's taking the action. So whatever matters the most is being honest with you in the moment, focusing on the moment, and taking decisions that are going in the direction that you want to go. So don't think about past decisions, because past mistakes, past failures clearly don't define you. The things that are going to define you for yourself are the things that you're going to do right now. So I have an action step for you. The action step is pretty simple. So if you watch the video until here, I need you to do the action step, because otherwise you're wasting your time and you're not going to do anything productive after this video. So basically what I want you to do is, the next time you have to take a decision about your time, about your life, make sure that you only say yes if the answer is a clear yes. If it's 90% over yes, you say it. If it's not, then you say no. I'm glad you stick to watching this video until here. So if you want more valuable videos like this, follow me, like it, and I'll see you next time. But don't forget, as long as you don't give up, you're a winner.